Gather, veterans. It's time to join the fight. The long war begins.
This is The Long War. I'm Robbie B, and joining me once again are my partners in crime, Kenny Boucher and Mike Haspil. What's up, guys?
You forgot the legendary prefix to his name. What's up, dog?
Yeah, what's up? What's going on?
Well, I like giving you something else, so Roberto come over the top. It's just my thing. I do it for you.
Well, I appreciate you, brother. So how's it going? Last time we talked, it was Taco Tuesday, and you were eating corn tortillas.
Oh yeah, no, yesterday was good. Storm rolled through. It's been affecting the internet. Hopefully it stays up and running. We keep all our cats on the internet treadmill over there, and we keep things rolling along.
All day, every day. And at the top of the show, I did want to throw out Mike Haspil new podcast, Still Inbound.
Yes, still inbound. We had some had some stuff getting ready last weekend, so I was not able to go live. But this weekend, I have a feeling it's going to happen. So I was too busy setting stuff up, and by the time we were done, it was like 2 a.m. So I was just like, yeah, I'm not going to be doing this tonight. So, yeah, so it'll be coming out soon.
I'm stoked for it. 1982, secretly the best year in history of mankind.
For film, anyway, for movies. So that'll be the first series that we talk about.
All right. We do have a lot to cover tonight, so
Just
hand it over to Robbie B. Drop some fucking tabletop knowledge on us, brother.
So Tabletop Market Watch segment, got a lot to say. First up, out of the gate, a lot of news coming from GenCon. Haspil's going to have some of that, but I wanted to talk about Titanicus. Fast forward to now. Adeptus Titanicus is on the way, and it makes me sad because there's a lot of salt in the sea right now over the price tag. Now, I don't get it twisted. It is expensive. It is quite possibly one of the most expensive box sets Games Workshop has come out with, next to maybe the Space Marine Battle Company, which I think was $500 when it first came out. It's $290 for the Grandmaster Edition. The rule set is $60. The Warlord Battle Titan is $110. The Questoris Knights, a 3-pack of them on 40 mil bases, is $35. The building pack is $40, and the combo building pack, I think they call it a sector, is $125. Those are hard pills to swallow. Like that's expensive release. Well, let me break it down a little bit more. I love Titan. I love Titans. I love Apocalypse. I have a full scale Titan Maniple sitting next to me. We're gonna play a full scale game of Titanicus, with the rules when we get them in our hot little hands. Like, this is the stuff that we see, and this brings us into 40K. Like, this is the most iconic stuff out there. So it's really cool to represent it, to have it represented on the tabletop. But please don't get turned off to Titanicus because it's so expensive, because there's different ways to make it a little bit. I'm not saying to make it 100% affordable. I'm saying there's ways to make it more affordable. Haspil. So what if I told you that this is the ultimate My Buddy Warhammer 40K starter? What would you say?
Yeah, I was skeptical, right? In the pre-show, in the pre-game, until I heard you break it down. And then I was just like, okay, this is doable. Because I honestly thought that the game was DOA, and that you would be able to play Titanicus at conventions. And that's basically the only time you would see it. But then you started breaking it down as a My Buddy game. And I'm like, okay, this makes sense. I'm back in it. You know what I mean?
Right. All right. Let me hit you with this. All right. So Titanicus is $290 US dollars. The rule set, which is the same thing you get in the Titanicus box, the Grandmaster Edition, is $60. So, but in the Grandmaster Edition, you get one of everything. You get 2 sets of Knights, you get 2 sets of Warlord Titans, you get 2 frames of terrain, 1 set of rules. Now, if you add the separate rule set to it, it becomes $350, which you grab a buddy, because you need a buddy to play Titanicus with. You grab a buddy and you split it down the middle. It's $175, which is like the price of most starters these days. Like your Dark Imperium was $160, your Prosperos and stuff are $160. So it's right about there. You usually get a discount your LGS, right? So you and a buddy go in for the price of a normal starter, and you get one of each to start playing. What do you think now?
Yeah, now it's doable. now it's doable.
So yeah, I'm just saying, like, it's kind of doable. Or you can do the 1-player version. Like, say you don't have a buddy and you just like, yo, I just want to get this stuff and check it out. You can do the rules pack. You can do a Warlord Titan. You can do a pack of Knights, and you can do the rules for $200, which is more than if you had a buddy to split it with. But it's getting all the stuff except for the terrain. Who cares about it? You can put. We all got terrain that we can use for this. Come on, let's be real, right?
Mm-hmm.
So, like, it's just some stuff to think about before, you're automatically like, oh my God, it's so expensive, I can't afford it. Now this is probably one for Kenny. Kenny, what do you think about this Warlord Titan is $110. It's on a Dread Knight base. Can you use that as a proxy in 40K?
Yes. I would fully use that to proxy a knight.
A Knight Titan?
A Dread Knight.
Oh, the Dread Knight, yeah. So, no,
you could probably use it as Dread Knight.
Yeah, Dread Knight. No, isn't there I thought I saw it almost as tall as a Knight Titan. Was that? Am I wrong about that?
It is sort of as tall as a Knight Titan, but it's on a Dread Knight base.
Well, why didn't I just slap it on a Knight Titan base and I'm GG?
Come on, man.
I'm just saying magnetbaron.com exists and I'll give me some fucking magnets, magnetize that motherfucker up to a base.
That's also
Dog, I'm a baller on a budget, man. I ain't trying to. If I can get a model to be 3 models, that could be my Titanicus model and 2 separate 40K models. Come on, man.
I don't know. I can't get behind that. I could say maybe a Dread Knight. I can't say a Knight Titan. It's just not the same profile. No way. But I'm sure some people you're gonna see them out there. I'm sure some people are gonna have them. It might be cute to see Knights as Terminators, because they're on the same size base, and that's probably acceptable. But I don't know. I just couldn't see it as I couldn't see it as a Knight Titan. It's just too small, in my opinion. Some other cool news updates, though. All the X-Wing 2.0 upgrades and stuff were available at GenCon. All the conversion kits, and I did a video recently on, hey, why are you so mad at X-Wing? Like, a lot of people are upset because they got about these conversion kits to still play with their miniatures. But what a lot of people aren't realizing is, in my opinion, that these cards don't have points. They don't have points on the pilots. They don't have points on the war gear, right? They don't even have the pilot abilities that you can take. All of that is going to be downloadable for free in their squad builder app.
Oh, wow. Yeah.
So they've inherently future-proofed their edition because you can change the points, you can change the upgrades available to certain ships all on the fly through this app, right? You can still play whatever you want on your kitchen at home. I mean, like, I think it's a good precedent. Now it's a sticker shock out the gate. If you play all the ships, you're talking like $150. If you throw in First Order and the Rebel equivalent in the new movies, now you're talking like more. But it's the same thing as us having to buy these index books and then getting replaced by codexes. And in the X-Wing world, there hasn't been an update to X-Wing in 7 years, except for the damage deck. There hasn't been quotes an update, right? 7 years. How many editions of 40K in 7 years? Like,
at least 3.
I think 3.
Yeah.
I think fifth to 8th, actually. Yeah. So I think, overall, it's a good thing. It's just a little sticker shock coming out the gate to keep playing 2.0. But I think folks will see the value once they get it in their hot little hands. It's one of the best-selling games, if not the best-selling tabletop game out there. So I got high hopes for it for sure. I think last but not, they previewed the Super Star Destroyer Executor for Star Wars Armada.
Oh yeah.
What did you think?
It's cool. I don't play Armada, but it wouldn't be the first time I bought one of their ships to just be a model. Like, that wouldn't happen, but I don't think I'm going to do the Executor because it's a little pricey. Like, I could buy a model of the Executor for a lot cheaper and just build it. So,
yeah, it's definitely geared to the game, in game. Yeah. $199, available Q1 2019. So I don't know where Armada is going to go from here, to be honest. We haven't seen a release in a while, which is kind of sad because Armada is one of those classic warfare. It just doesn't have the 3D component to it. It's definitely a 2D fleet naval kind of type game that is very immersive and very tactical, very, very tactical. So if you haven't checked it out yet, you kind of owe it to yourself, at least get a demo game in. You might really enjoy it.
Mm-hmm.
But that's the big stuff coming out of tabletop. Of course, there was, some other new licensing properties that Haspil's excited about.
So, like, the best 40K game ever was announced at GenCon. Munchkin 40K. And it's like they at this point, I think Steve Jackson Games is just milking Munchkin for as long as they can. I mean, it's a great game. It's a lot of fun. But like 40K Munchkin is just, it's one of those games I have to buy on principle just to have it. You know what I mean? And then when we were talking about like my buddy stuff, if you feel like you have too many buddies, if you've got too many friends to play against on the tabletop, too much social stuff going on in your life, why not buy Warhammer 40K Monopoly? It'll have those guys flipping tables in no time, and then you won't have any friends. So yeah, they're putting out Warhammer 40K Monopoly. It has some fantastic little icons and stuff to play around. It's really, really cool. And that's another game that I kind of have to buy on principle. I already pre-ordered it. So it's just like, yeah, have to have that game. It just seems like a lot of fun. And then there was some other news that GW almost got lost in the noise.
What's that?
GW is opening up a Forge World warehouse in North America.
Oh, yeah.
In the US. So I don't think that's going to help us on prices, but
no,
it will help us on shipping. And for me, I know a lot of times I'll be on the fence about ordering something from Forge World. I'll be like, man, this is so dope. And then I'll look at the shipping and go, yeah, I'm not getting that. It's like,
no. Do you think, I almost think it's better to just crowdsource an order with your buddies and just be like, hey, I'm doing an order. Let's get it up to that 250-pound mark to get that free express. Because there really isn't any other way to order their stuff. And you get tracking.
Bought some stuff. Yeah, I bought some stuff at LVO because they had it at the show. But by the time I went to go pick it up, it was the Custodes Dreadnought and some decal sheets. And by the time I went to go get it, they were gone. You know what I mean? And they told me at the show that they would mail it to me with free shipping.
Oh, yeah.
So I was all over that, and I actually bought more. As soon as they said free shipping, I was like, well, then I'm going to pick this up and this and this.
I had a lot to say. I don't know if you saw the article, Haspil, where we broke down some apples to apples comparisons and talked about the trade show price, because the trade show price, they they mark it up like 30%. Like that's crap credit card rates, guys. And I'm not a banker. I don't know about exchange. I don't know about all this stuff people were coming on in the comments about. I don't know any of that stuff. I can just look at patterns and I can analyze things. And if I see, hey, this thing, when you convert the dollars to this, it should be this. But now if I go to a con, it's like 1.6. Like that's 30% more. I'm not okay with that. I'll just get it somewhere else. Or I'll just order it, whatever. I'll just do it some other way. It was a little frustrating. But I think overall, them being able to provide this stuff a little bit quicker in America, that's the big barrier to entry, in my opinion, for a lot of these companies that have great games and they produce stuff. But America is like 50% of the market. Let's be real. And to get over here from Europe is an issue to have distro here. Mm-hmm. So just the fact that they're respecting that and doing that, they might just create literally millions of dollars in profits overnight. We did the math. You can do the math. You can look at the financials on their report. You can kind of extrapolate like how much might have been Forge rolled off their mail order. It's divided by 50% of the market, multiply by what we just talked about, 20%. I'll put the article in the up here so you guys can check it out. But overall, I think it's a good thing, but just guys, be careful with your money. That's all I'm saying. Those hobby dollars are valuable.
Oh yeah, definitely.
Hyundai P all day. So let's transition into our ETC talk, if that's okay.
America.
Yeah, okay. So you guys might remember only maybe 2 weeks ago, we had Sean Naden, the best 40K player in the history of 40K. He's Team America captain. European Team Championship. These gentlemen just battled it out all weekend with the best of Europe. And for the first time in history, America won.
The gold.
It literally happened. Righteous individuals on the team, incredible coaching, amazing lists, and of course the guidance of Sean Naden. So big shout out to those dudes. And if you, like I said, European team championships, we have the American team championships. We're only sending one team out there, but I would speculate that this might be the best group of dudes out there we've ever sent. But here's what's interesting: we have a great group of guys on this team that I've seen all lose to another set of 16 guys or another set of 16 guys. So there is a lot of top players in this country. And that makes me happy to know, like, my American pride is swelling knowing like the domination of the European team championship was upheld. But here's what we really want to talk about. Obviously they did great, but we've been talking about getting your Dominus, getting your Astra Militarum, and getting your Supreme Command attachments, right? We say this is pretty much the fucking best list in 40K right now. But Juice and I, Juice isn't here this evening. He's working on a top secret project that may not be that much of a secret at this point. But here's the situation. We've been saying Cadia. The Cadian is better than Catachin. Stop fucking around with this Catachin garbage, right? We've been saying that weeks on that train. Well, Tony Kopak, you guys might remember this kid. He won 1 billion Novas. He's notorious dick stomper on the table. He Hundy P'd. Like, his record was straight all wins across the board, and Hundy P'd the battle points. Not with Cadian, but with Catachin. Rob, I'm not a number scientist, but does it get any higher than 100%?
No, it cannot, actually. You cannot go higher than 100%.
So I retract everything that I've been harping on for the last several weeks about Cadian being this. I'm not even going to go on my little micro discussion. It doesn't mean anything anymore because Hundy P is 100 fucking P. Congratulations, Cody Topak, with perfect record at ETC, arguably the fucking top list in the game right now, maybe with 2 others, but I haven't seen that record yet. And Rob, I think you already covered this list. Can you break it down for us?
Sure can. Yep, we got the post up, all 8. By the way, Sean Naden came in 3rd overall on the team.
Wow,
with his list he showed us. He actually showed us the painted miniatures that he's been getting his hobby muscle strong by watching Kenny stream.
What?
On Twitch. Yeah, it's a real thing.
You got to be careful, man. People censor that shit. Can't say my name on a podcast.
Yeah, that's it. From beep tutorials on Twitch. So Kopak's list was your typical guard. This was actually a brigade. So he had 2 company commanders and Colonel Ironhand Strachan, along with, of course, Catachans, a priest, 2 platoon commanders, because you got to have orders to throw out to the mortars, 3 mortar teams, 3 of the Artemis pattern Hellhounds from Forge Roll with Inferno Cannons, Heavy Bolters, and Storm Bolters. And then in the battalion detachment. So basically what this does is the Catachan rules allow you to get those reroll your random shots for artillery and mortars and stuff.
But
like
also
that.
the strength 4 dudes.
Strength 4 dudes. I think Ironhand has some sort of ability I'm not tracking right now that powers into that. Or he's just cheap. I forget which, but at 75 points, he better do something because I don't know why he's in the list. I did not look him up. The Hellhounds are just great because they're cheap and they do additional damage. They also blow up 6 inches on a 4-up and do D6 mortal wounds. So a lot of times they're just kind of car bombs, for lack of a better term. The battalion detachment, of course, Blood Angels with 2 slam captains, Thunderhammers and Storm Shields all day. 3 scout squads to get those battalion points. Looks like all with bolters. And then the super heavy auxiliary detachment coming in, the heavyweight himself, the Knight Castellan, with, you know, all the normal stuff you'd have, twin Siegebreaker and 2 of the Shield Breaker and missiles, which just delete the right things if you can get the stratagems on there.
So obviously in the Long War, we just put up a new video with some similar elements. Now, this is what I mean by similar elements. He's got the battalion, he's got the brigade, he's got the solo knight. He's got a lot of command points. So he's going to probably be able to fully pre-game CP upgrade, stratagem upgrade the slam captains.
Mm-hmm.
If he's doing it right, he's going to get some rerolls back on that. He's set up to rotate ion shields when necessary. But,
only when necessary. At 3 command points, it's way too expensive.
Yeah, only when necessary. But there's a lot going on this list, and we've been saying that this type of list is crushing it on ITC Tracker right now. And Tony, and the reason I say probably the best list in the game, even though he had some safe matchups because it's a team game format.
Sure.
I'm factoring his credentials in as a player.
Mm-hmm.
Right? This dude is crushed events. That dude kills it. And then he went and killed it 10 times over. I think that this man with that list is going to win any tournament he wants to for the rest of the year.
No, so what I like most about this list is its ability to kind of mix and match sort of things. Because remember too, you're stuck with your warlord trait and your relic in your guard attachment, but that doesn't mean that you're stuck having to take certain things with your slam captains. So if you're going to get somebody that doesn't have a lot of Overwatch, you might not necessarily need the sanguine or the wings or whatever they are that prevent Overwatch. You can take the hammer that isn't a neg 1 to hit, and you can go to town with that thing. Because let me tell you what, this guy having extra attacks, getting the red rampage, getting even more attacks, being Death Company, and not neg 1 to swinging is ridiculous. So you can kind of play the field if you know what all of these stratagems do and what order to play them in to do these certain things. The Castellan, on the other hand, there's a couple of things to play. The reroll 1 stratagem, which is really good for in all the shooting phase. So if you get detonations and things and you have to reroll ones, it's reroll ones for the whole shooting phase. So it's kind of strong. But don't get it twisted too. He probably didn't hang back behind that line, behind that guard blob the whole time. If he needed to push out with the Castellan is strong. It river dances. It does things. Like, it can go out and charge things if it has to. If it, there isn't another slam captain to run in and do, 12 wounds to him or something like that. Like, on average.
Slam captain with 3 CPs to attack again. Then if you stomp him to death, 2 CPs to attack again. So 5 CP, triple attacks. I mean, like, kills anything in the game.
I think it can consistently do 24. I don't think it's going to take out Indominus in one volley, but it'll.
If you kill him, it'll take him out. So he gets the triple swing.
That's true.
That's what I'm saying. It's
if you interrupt.
Yeah. Well, no, like if he attacks, then he pays the CPs to attack again. Right. Oh, I guess.
No, because it all happens at the end of combat.
Okay, so
he's either dead or he swings again.
He's only going to ever attack twice. I see what you're saying.
Yes.
So, procedurally, he can only attack twice. Therefore, 12 to 18 wounds, depending on if he's Death Company or not.
If you charge him with 2, one will interrupt and still get to swing. So you'd have to do it with 2 to take down Indominus, I think.
That adds up. That math adds up. I'm not a math scientist, but I can get behind that.
He gets to 100%. So, yeah, I mean, there's a lot of versatility with this list. I think it's firing on all the right cylinders, but again, we don't know what's going to come out of the gate next week. And with the ITC missions changing up, who knows? Maybe we'll see some sort of other wackiness out there. Are, Magnus and Morty going to be running the streets now that they're not so vulnerable to ITC? I don't know. It's going to be crazy.
That adds up. So let's transition into, since we're talking about
ITC New Missions?
ITC New Missions. So we're going to do it right here. So here it is, guys. ITC, if you guys didn't know, it's Frontline Game. That's the gangster shit. It's the NFL of Warhammer 40K right now. Most games in the world, potentially, that could be an overarching statement. Most games in our country that are tournaments are being played with ITC rules. ITC is a win-loss format with a very balanced mission structure. That is a living document that they use. They crowdsource a lot of the intel to make these additions to rebalance it. And we're facing our next big rebalance in 8th edition. So I would say 8th dropped for about 6 months. ITC missions were flawlessly balanced. Then we meted the meta and then meted it again on secondaries. And so certain units kind of vanished from the table. Horde kind of took over for a while. You stopped seeing certain things. So the last thing you want is like a unit prohibition based on rules. So it's happening. So I actually talked to Reese today on the phone over at Frontline Game. And I hit him with this. I was like, look, I got some predictions for the new missions, which are coming out this Sunday. Let me just hit you with my predictions. And you tell me what I can quote and how close I am. So these were my predictions. They're going to fix Reaper. There's going to be no longer any secondary stacking. He was like, dead on, homie. And I was like, okay, let me go one step further. Reaper, the fix is it's cumulative like Titan Slayer. Every 20 infantry models you kill, period. Not every unit you close out with 10 or more models. He's like, that's literally exactly what we're doing. Confirmed. So that's a huge fix, because what that does is that rewards people for killing cultists, but not closing squads out. But that also rewards everybody else for killing fucking like guardsman units, like infantry platoons that have bought heavy weapons. So now they're only 9-man. Who cares? Every 20 models counts. So that's a big deal. And in some matchups, when people go MSU crazy, you might even be able to say, well, there's actually 3 Reaper points on the table here. So that's huge. The no stacking is potentially the hugest thing there is. Point stacking, secondary stacking is kind of what makes certain big, awesome models hard to play. So it makes certain vehicles hard to play. People who are characters like stacking Kingslayer and Headhunter, and even like potentially back in the day, people would run like Magnus, some characters, and even some vehicles. You could literally say Headhunter, Kingslayer, Big Game Hunter. If you kill Magnus, that's 4 Kingslayer, maxed it. Then you got the Headhunter point. Then you got the Big Game Hunter point. Then you killed something that turn, right? Then you held an objective that turn. And if you held more and killed more, because you went first, you could have pulled down a 9-point turn 1 for killing one fucking model. So that was an issue. So that's gone. That's fucking huge. That's a total rebalance. Now here's something I didn't predict. End of game objectives. So ITC is, in my player turn, I have to kill something and hold something. That's 1 point each, right? For a max of 2. Then at the end of the player turn, whoever killed more and whoever held more, that's an additional bonus point. 4 points, and every mission has like a clutch 5th bonus point, right? So now they've introduced at the very end of the game, each objective on the table is worth a clutch single mission point. So that could be the tiebreaker right there that we've been needing. And we're going to need that, because without stacking, we're not going to be getting that 12-point secondary like we used to every fucking game. So those are the 3 big things that he was able to spoil to me. And one last thing, they're changing the mission with 2 objectives. That's gone. It's now 3. And he also confirmed to me that at least 2 missions in the 6 that you will play, there will be a degree of player placed objectives, which is brand new. We've never seen that in ITC. It's always been static objectives. So now you'll put one in the center, and then we'll both place an X amount. That completely changes the game, but it's not going to be every mission. Some of them are static, some of them are player placed. So we're entering into a brand new rebalancing of ITC missions, which I am super fucking stoked on.
Yeah, it's awesome. And a bit of advice. I don't play a lot of ITC, but folks that are looking to get into the ITC, just some quick bit of advice. More important than your list, which nowadays that's saying a lot, right? Is you need to fully not just read the ITC missions, but understand them. Because if you step up to the table and that's the first time you're reading the ITC mission, you've already lost that game. It's already over. So you need to know what you're going to do and develop a plan, regardless of what your opponent is going to do, about how you're going to break down the points and how you're going to score and everything turn by turn. Have a plan, because otherwise you're going to get stomped. And what is that line from South Park? You're going to have bad time, okay?
I like the changes because I think it has less feel badsies for people. It's a little bit more new folk friendly, and the fact that, hey, I didn't lose my big cool dude that I'm emotionally invested in, and I just lost all these points, and now I'm on tilt. It's kind of something that creates a feel badsy for a lot of people, because that's the hobbying aspect of it. So I definitely welcome that change, and also making that end of game secondary objective thing. That is pretty neat, because it's going to keep people in the game right down to the end.
Well, it gives you a new ability, right? So sometimes, because it is a secondary, if I didn't make that clear, so you have to pick it. So what that gives you is a new ability, because people meta this shit, right? I try to build lists that don't give up a lot of points, right? My list that I've been doing super well with, top 25 at LVO last year, only gives up Reaper. So 4 points. I give it 4 fucking points. That's how I built that list. It was designed that way. So when people looked at me, they knew they were going to pick Reaper, but then they had to look at the secondaries and struggle to figure out what they were going to do. Every time you can introduce a new, in spite of your opponent, style secondary, the better. That's why they introduced the old school secondary, Recon, And now we have another board control style recon end of game secondary. And these are have nothing to do with your opponent, killing your opponent. These are getting into position objectives. So now you can play a little denial style. You can play a little asymmetrical style. So it's really married these two together with the new addition. It's just a simple boom. There it is. New secondary. Huge impact.
Mm-hmm.
Yep. 100%. So pretty stoked to see it all.
Okay. So we covered all that. We're going to take a quick commercial break, and then when we come back, we're going to talk about Gen Con and all this crazy shit that went down. Finally, the Long War swag is here. LongWarSwag.com, the official home of Long War merchandise. We've got a range of merchandise exclusive to the Long War brand, Next Level Painting, and Spikey Bits. Definitely log in today while supplies lasts. And we're back. Here we are. If you stuck with us this long, we're going to talk about Gen Con. I've actually talked to a lot of people today who didn't know anything went down at Gen Con. We're going to start.
Yeah.
So we're going to start this whole thing off real quick. First things first, I'm not very happy with the way Gen Con conducted themselves, right? I was really mad about it all weekend. I don't like people hiding information from people. Especially in an event, especially when it's like realistically a potential safety situation. That's not cool, right? Now, I do recognize there might be a legal team involved that
they might have just been told to like, hey, don't say anything until we have time to prep a statement or something like that.
So basically I was super mad about it, but I decided not to put my rage all in there because I was like, I don't fucking know what's going on. But I'm not happy with it. Like whatever it is, it doesn't see. I heard about all the mass Twitch bannings and stuff. I wasn't fucking happy about all that shit. So if you guys don't know what we're talking about, you're hearing about this for the first time. Here's the situation, right? And I keep, we're using allegedly, but like at this point, I'm not even sure if that's even the fucking right term because I'm pretty sure somebody fucking got punched and somebody did the punching. Yeah. So real quick, Jeremy Hambley from the Quartering and Matt Lauder, who posts under the Twitch handle Prettiest Matt. That's an underscore in there.
Nice.
Solid name. So these two individuals have potentially been on opposite sides of political affiliation all year. I watch the Quartering sometimes, and most of the videos seem, well, I mean, I'm not like a religious follower, but a lot of the videos seem to me to be talking specifically about like editorializing other editorials and with a definitely an anti SJW stance, for sure. And whereas this dude, Matt, completely opposite to the point where he wears like a Nazi shirt, punch Nazis in the face.
Punch a Nazi, not a Nazi shirt.
It says Nazi huge as fuck. So you look at it and you're like, what the fuck? And then it's just like punch Nazi in the face, right? Mm-hmm. So that's what we're talking about here. We're talking about extreme, polarized political opinions, right?
Yeah.
And so here, and so what went down, according to multiple sources, is that at this bar, not in Gen Con, this guy, Matt, straight up rolled up, and there's like at least 3 different eyewitness accounts, but the way it goes, the way I'm hearing it is he rolls up, hey, are you, or hey, who are you, kind of situation, throws some blindside punches, proceeds to unload a barrage of punches in and on the face and chest and neck region. People are ushered away. I wasn't there. They were separated at some point where Jeremy ended up in the bar. Matt ended up outside the bar and even threw some wild punches at the glass, or maybe hit it with something. I don't know. Seen pictures of this glass. It got smashed up pretty good. And I hear that the bar doesn't care. But bars, they called the cops every time a fight broke out.
That's all they would do.
Seriously. So. They're like,
That's all.
So a bar fight, not a bar brawl.
Right. So this is, I'm going to make my little quick point right here. So like, basically I've been in a lot of fucking bar fights, right? Not as a like, almost tough guy. I fucking grew up in a fucking small mountain, or I grew up in South Miami. I grew up in the 305, went to school in Carroll City. I got jumped many times, probably have the world record. You know what I mean? And I've also spent my 20s in a small mountain mining town, spending a fucking car payment worth of bar tab every month. Right. So shit has gone down. So when I read something like this, what I see is a bar fight. The vast majority of all physical altercations I've been in a fight have been with me getting sucker punched, me sucker punching somebody, me getting pushed, throwing a punch back. Luckily, most of the individuals involved in these encounters are not skilled enough to actually damage each other as long as people can step in fast enough to separate them. So we call those bar fights. Now, to be clear, all fights that are not mutually agreed upon are assault. And I have actually myself personally spent up to 24 hours in a drunk tank using washout guidelines in Colorado Springs from the Black Sheep, where as long we shake on it in front of an officer under mutual combat law, and no one gets arrested, but we had to spend 24 hours in the fucking tank. So so as far as like the physical side of things, I'm like, motherfucker got one man jumped, AK got in a bar fight. The only difference is that when I'm at a bar, typically the discussion that leads to us having a difference of opinion happens there and not on the internet first. So I'm not one of these people who's going to take words on the internet and downplay it. Like, you guys got in a fight over some shit on the internet. I was like, saying some shit on the internet is not much different than saying some shit at a bar with some beers.
Same shit across a bar. It's the same thing.
You're talking some shit. Both sides are talking some shit, or they're just saying what they believe in, and the other person perceives it as shit talking, depending on what other personal beliefs are involved, and a fight ensues. So here's what I'm not happy about. I'm not happy about cops getting called because I've been in this situation. I handle my own business, right? If I got jumped at Adepticon by one man, then we got separated, I received no actual real damage that required me to get hospitalized. I would go up to my room with my boys. We put out a YouTube video. We would challenge the individual to a mutual combat 90 days from the current date in a city of your choosing. We will stream it on YouTube, and that's how we'll get paid. That's how I'll profit off of this. So that's me coming from my personal life experiences, how I looked at this entire thing. That's what I spent the whole weekend looking at. That's my take.
Yeah, and on top of that, especially when this whole culture is based on monetizing outrage and the whole polarization of everything. Everyone has to pick an extreme side. It's like anybody who is to the left of an individual is a communist or Antifa or a Stalinist or worst. And anybody who's to the right of an individual is a misogynist, racist, alt-right Nazi. There's no in between. Everything just gets pushed aside. But there is something that like comes down. It is fundamental. If you're going to have a civilized society, there are only two ways that people can convince folks to change their mind: through speech and through violence. And that's it. And if you're going to have a civilized society, violence has to be taken off the table. Violence is then turned over to the state. That's why you have like police, right? Everybody else has to convince themselves through reason. And you don't get to pick who gets to be a Nazi. There are historical context times for when you want to punch a Nazi, but you don't get to say, well, that guy, I don't agree with that guy, so he's a Nazi. You don't get to do that. You know what I mean? Like, you don't get to determine who a Nazi is. And the instant that you throw that first punch, you have lost the moral argument, period. And the worst still, right? You have unlocked the violence option. And, you know, there are rumors floating around that this guy's a Krav Maga instructor. I honestly don't believe that, because if he was, he would know how quickly a fight can go south. You have no idea what this other individual knows, what he can do if he's armed, anything. You're going to walk up and sucker punch somebody, right? That's incredibly stupid. If this guy was an actual martial artist, he's brought dishonor on his school. He's worse than that, right? You look at the situation that goes on. Who came out on top of this? Jeremy, right?
Seems like Jeremy, right?
Jeremy, hands down. Hands down. If people did not know about the quartering channel, they do now. You know what I mean? And this guy, Matt, he put his livelihood in jeopardy. He put his life in jeopardy. You don't know Jeremy, what Jeremy has. You have no idea, right? So he put his life in jeopardy. He put his livelihood in jeopardy. He put his businesses in jeopardy. He put his employees that work for him in jeopardy. Over what? For moral indignation, because he felt justified that because he belongs to some ranking in the economy of victimhood, that he has been oppressed more than somebody else, and that other person's opinions aren't valid. So he felt justified in taking it to the physical. And it's like, you can't do that. You can't do that. And it's just like, okay, well, you know, that went down. I'm really sorry and sad to see that happen at Gen Con, that it finally came down. I mean, it's been happening across the board. We've seen a dozen other gates that have come out, and this is Gen Con gate now. You know what I mean? So it's tragic that it happened in a certain sense, and I don't wish this on Jeremy, but in a certain sense, I kind of wish it had happened on the con floor, because if it had, Gen Con would have had to do something. They wouldn't have been able to ignore it. And it would have prompted action. We hear about people being deplatformed at conventions all the time for being wrong think or wrong fans or whatever.
Yeah, it's just like,
and it's crap. It's got to stop.
I agree, and and not to cut you off, Haspil, there, but this Jeremy Hambly situation was the reason I wrote my article about actually banning people in our hobby back in December, when this whole thing happened with the quarterly and the girl and the cosplay and all that, because there needs to be some way to keep this negativity and to keep these toxic individuals out of our hobby. I said, hey, we need something similar to any of the other organized play out there. If you do something in game that's super bad, you get banned, just like the DCI, just like WizKids, just like all that stuff, all those group, all those gaming systems out there. We need something like that. What if you cheat? What if you all this? And what happened for the last 7 months? Cheating scandal after cheating scandal after cheating scandal. And then we had one where the guys were talking mess to each other on Facebook afterwards. Thank God there wasn't anything, crazy at the ETCs. Hell, I banned myself from the ATCs because I was 10 points over, because it was the right thing to do. Like, it turns out it's very easy to disqualify yourself from tournaments, by the way. Just caveat there. If you ever win a tournament and your points over and, you don't feel like you need to wait for the TOs, just ban yourself. It's very easy. But you might want to personally call them and apologize too, just to be polite. But that being said, like, this needs to stay out of our effing hobby. When PETA came in and was making that first statement, I was very adamant against it. I put up. That was a publicity stunt, though. Of course it was, but it had no play. Why are they targeting us? Like, we don't care. Like, stay out of our hobby. Like, our hobby is our happy place. It's what a lot of people do to, vent their stress and have fun after work. Putting paint on models, listen to podcasts, listen to us. Thank you all, everybody listening to us. Stuff like that. Like, that is what makes the hobby strong. Not this. You are this label. You are that label. You are a fascist. You are this.
But
it's
Haspil, what is that called?
Identity politics, and it is a gateway to civil war. I said it in the pregame. I'm like, the left right now gets blamed for practicing identity politics because they're kind of overt about it, but the right does the same thing. They just call it something different. You know what I mean? But what it does is it reinforces our differences instead of what we have in common. And it sets up, I think somebody in the pregame called it Victim Olympics or something like that.
Yeah, that's awesome.
I called it an economy of victimhood, where everybody is struggling to prove that, oh, I've been abused more than this person, so therefore my views are more valid, or your views are less valid, or you can't comment about certain subjects, or, Robbie, you can't talk about Black Panther at all. You know what I mean? It's like, it doesn't, it's ruining everything. And unfortunately, this movement, and I'm probably going to get in trouble for saying this, but they're like locusts, and that's what they do. You were talking about like, why PETA came into that, because we weren't involved. So there's a ripe field for them to just swoop in and do stuff. And the ironic thing about it is most of the time that the loudest bunch don't care about anything. They're just there to virtue signal and look at me, look how great I am. And virtue signaling is actually a valid anthropological thing. You know what I mean? If you're going out on a date with a girl, you want to show that you're generous by leaving a big tip, stuff like that. So it's hardwired into us. It's just been weaponized. And now when you just go, hey, I don't agree with this guy saying, I can just call him a name. I can just put a label on him that now I don't have to deal with the words that are coming out of his mouth. I don't have to reason with him. I don't have to think about anything. I can label him the most hateful thing I can absolutely think about, and I don't know, Jeremy. I haven't watched the quartering. I don't know anything about it. I know he was like banned from Magic the Gathering. Some people called him a bully or whatever. I can pretty much guarantee he's not a Nazi. Like, he hasn't killed anybody, right?
No.
You know, so it's like he is not a Nazi.
And that's a fact. And that's a big point here is like, you know, we're talking about these identity politics issues right here and bannings. So like, I know some people, you know, might be confused of like what exact stance we're taking. And that's the point is like, we're not taking either fucking stance. Like,
No, we're not taking a side.
We're not playing that game. Here's the situation. If you're fucking around on my IP, you're banned, son. Right.
Mm-hmm.
And that's not me taking away your freedom of speech. That's me actually practicing mine. Like,
yeah,
if I say on my IP, in my business, in my home, whatever, you can't fucking do that, and you do it, bye. That's what we're saying. We're saying we practice that, right? We also practice listening.
Very much a lot.
We practice listening to people. We practice reasoning with people. We do all these things, and we urge. And that's what I think Haspil's saying. This shit isn't fucking funny, right? This shit is not fucking funny. Nothing about it's funny. We tell people like, don't fucking play the game. This is garbage.
Yeah. Yep. But like Forrest Gump said, that's all I have to say about that.
Yeah.
Rob, you got anything else for us?
No, I think we pretty much said it. Just keep politics out of our hobby and out of our conventions and all that stuff. Like, it's got no place there. This is the fantasy world. This is where we go to unwind and have fun. And we don't want none of it. And we're going to fight it.
I want to hear is about dirty heretics.
Magnus wasn't wrong.
Oh, what? The Space Wolves did nothing wrong.
Yeah. That's all I want to hear.
That's all I want. I want my debates to be at that. And if somebody clocks somebody at a 40K tournament, I want it to be because somebody knocked somebody's Titan off the table. Because that could be justified. Like, that could be rough, painful. And I speak from experience. Like, in one of the games I was playing, a guy had one of those big Tau Forge World Riptide suits or something, and he had it perched on a building, and I nudged the table and it fell and shattered, like a billion pieces. And I was like, I owe this guy a lot of money right now. But luckily for me, it was all magnetized, so I got off easy.
Ooh, nice. But yeah, I think we drew enough attention to this issue that politics has no place in our hobby or our conventions. And that's basically our stance, our official stance.
Yay.
All right.
Hooray!
Haspil, fucking do it.
Don't use 7 words when 4 will do. Don't shift your weight. Don't always look at your mark, but don't stare. Be specific, but not memorable. Be funny, but don't make him laugh. He's got to like you and then forget you the moment you've left his side. And for God's sake, whatever you do, don't, under any circumstances,